this week's edition of the Steel Show. Yoke fans, hope as many of you could make it to the game last Saturday as possible. It was a double overtime thriller in the rain. Just everything you love about a college football game. It was an awesome atmosphere to be at. So, jumping right into what your thoughts were. Obviously, this was an interesting game as far as adversity for your team and a tough team coming in. So, what did it mean to you to pull out a game like that?
Well, I've been here long enough now, and you were part of some teams, Broch, where, whether it was the first win we ever had, or the first conference win, or the first win in Montana, or first overtime win, there's certain games that really, really stand out, and I think this will be one of them for the program. I think it's I'm not sure what a signature win is, but I think if that Montana Western game was quite a effort, quite a coming together of the team, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I think what it shows though is, and I was asked this after the game by a reporter, I think it shows where the programs come, and how strong we're getting, week by week, year by year, and hats off to all the coaches that have coached here, all the players that have coached here, and just that we've tried to build, talk about a foundation. You don't do that sort of thing without a foundation. Now, obviously, we got some breaks in the game that we can talk about later, but just the whole attitude of the team that, hey, we're going to find a way to win this game against a very, very good team. So it might be the biggest win against a really, really good team that we've ever had in a very must-win kind of situation.
Yeah, and so let's dive into some of the reasons why, because you have your best three receivers out, right, for the year, and Yo fans know that, right? Your top three guys and who are very dynamic players. So you're rolling with a young receiving core. Some of them have gotten some playing time this year, but inexperienced. And you go out the first play, and you complete a deep ball to Krebs over the middle, for 50 yards or whatever, just to get the game going. What did that do, not only for your confidence in that unit, but just to get the team going in a situation where you're facing some adversity coming into it?
Well, I think it says a lot. I mean, and Brian Taylor, great job with the game plan, along with Leon Ladeau, the receivers coach, and Greg Stewart, the offensive line coach, but just the attitude from the beginning, and it's kind of where we are as an offensive staff is, hey, we're going to go after it. We got some guys, and John Krebs is a 18-year-old freshman, but he can run, he can do some things, so it's finding things. Sometimes injuries force you to think about your team in a little bit different ways, and so I loved the game plan that we had, and the whole, more than that, just the attitude going in. So it was kind of an attitude play, like you said, to make that play. He made a great catch, ran by a corner, and they matched up a different corner with him than we thought was going to be over there. And
good ball by Hibbs.
They're faster, and it was a great throw by Hibbs, and great protection. We protected well all day. Hibbs, of course, was lights out. I mean, completing 30 out of 35 balls, so just allowed us to control the ball. If we don't control the ball, I don't know what happens in that game. But just the beginning was absolutely fantastic. So that play, moved it down and scored. Then one early on, we got Tayson Harden in it at receiver, and threw one deep to him, and he made it.
Nice little adjustment on that.
So anyway, so I think that kind of lifts the team, all of a sudden, and so that's always satisfying. That's what you want as a coach. We need a lift from somebody somewhere, and arguably it was the whole offensive team.
Absolutely, and players win games, players play, but I just thought from the coaching staff perspective, again, it just says a lot when you're going through adversity and you have these receivers out, and you have a whole bye week where your program's thinking about it, you as coaches are thinking about it, and you kind of say on the first play, to hell with that, right? We're going to take shots today. We're not going to let that limit us. We're not going to let that define us. We're not going to be scared of the moment and just hand the ball off and protect these young receivers. It's like, no, we're going to keep our identity and be aggressive from moment one, and I just think that did a lot for your team.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we always, even in the old days, I would always say, hey, let's take the ball on the coin flip, just so we get an extra possession in the first half. We can stay in a game, especially if we're going to be in a shootout. which in the early days it kind of was. You know, we had trouble keeping up with some of the high-powered offenses in the league. And we would have deferred if we would have won the toss, but they won the toss and deferred, so we got the ball first. So it was literally the opening play of the game, and I think that helped us.
Yeah,
it helped us get off on the right foot, and you know, our attitude is we're going to come at you and be aggressive. We think we have the sort of team that we're able to do that, offensive team for sure, and on defense, and so that was very, very satisfying.
Awesome.
So that was good, and I think that fed into the players and their belief system.
Get the energy up early.
Yes, we really, really played well, and then to sustain it is a whole other issue. So, and then very proud of the defense too. I mean, they were very, very talented on defense and did not come out like we're used to coming out. It wasn't a Yotes defense in the first half, but that's how good Montana Western is. Their quarterback is something else.
Yeah.
And their running back, Reese Neville, is also very good, and their core of receivers, so they are, and they're good up front. So it was a real test, and I thought we played well in the second half.
Yeah.
To give us a chance to get the upper hand in the second half, I thought was the next biggest thing that happened in the game, where we were able to go ahead and almost iced it, you know, and then they made a big play and it went to overtime. But again, us getting ahead was, or getting the upper hand, so to speak, got a few stops, and that set the stage for the stops in overtime and all that, I think.
All right, Coach, so, you know, Ryan Hibbs gets the Frontier Conference Offensive Player of the Week. Like you said, you know, huge performance from him, really efficient with the ball. You know, talk about if it was just, you know, if it was just what he was capable of, or if he took a big step this week, and just overall assess his great performance this Saturday.
Great question, and Ryan Hibbs, I mean, was fantastic. I mean, record-setting day, completion percentage, number of completions, spreading the ball around. As you mentioned, without our big speed anyway, I think we have good quality of receivers, and but he's just a very confident, definitely not overconfident, but very studious in his approach to the game, and he really, really wants to be good. And so I think we saw some things early in the season when he wasn't the starter. Every time he came in, he was ready, and which is hard to do as a backup player. And so again, that caught my eye. And but he's also improved a lot. He played a lot of football in the spring season last year, and threw his share of interceptions, which weren't all his fault. But again, I think he's worked so hard on, we talk about getting to his base a little bit sooner. And he's so he's ready to throw a little bit sooner, so he's not late. If he can be on time, and he knows this, and that's where he's most confident. He knows he can get balls there. He can be a very, very accurate thrower. And so again, what you hope for as a coach is that young men take coaching, and part of taking coaching is taking the initiative yourself, and never ever being satisfied and wanting to get better. And to his credit, you know, we didn't know how Ryan Hibbs was going to play, but we had full confidence in him to start him in the Tech game, and he played very well there. And then this game, he was lights out. They were giving us a lot of short stuff, which is in our RPO, run pass option thing, where he can throw the bubble or bubble screen or hand the ball off, and he was masterful at that.
Making the right play.
Better than we've ever had in terms of being able to get the ball out there quick and give us a chance to make yards.
And that's what I was going to say about, you know, the bubble screen. It seems like such an easy play, right? But when you're actually throwing straight lateral, it's not as easy to get a guy in a position where he can run with it. But it's so critical to the bubble screen because it's supposed to be a quick hitter. So you got to give the receiver a chance to make a quick move and get upfield.
And it's a different manifestation, you know. Bill Walsh was the master of the very West Coast pass game, which really is just very, very precise in the timing and the steps and where you want to hit the receivers. One of his big things was, this is not a perfect throw. This is not a perfect throw. This is not a perfect throw. This is a perfect throw.
Yeah.
So that's where he got to with Montana and Young and those guys. And literally to look at those bubble screens, and they aren't that easy, as you said, but literally most of them are perfect throws.
Yes.
And so it's an extension of the run game, but what it does for the Yotes offense is it spreads the defense out. And the Yote fans know we want to find ways to run the ball, and so our fly sweep and being able to throw bubbles kind of spreads the defense out and just makes us that much harder to defend without a runner like Darius James Peterson. Right. So again, we're a different team with Ryan Hibbs in there. But again, hats off to Coach Taylor and the whole offensive approach, that there's always ways to do things to take advantage of what your players do the best. So that's I think what we've been able to do, and what Ryan Hibbs personally has capitalized on, and he's taken advantage and taken the initiative, which is one of the hallmarks of greatness, to be perfectly honest with you. So it was a fantastic performance by him.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying he's great right now, but I'm saying he's on the way. He's doing some fantastic things.
Yeah. All right, Coach, so I guess, leading into overtime, a little bit of a disappointing play, obviously. You get him in I forget what it was, 4th and 9, 10, 11, something like that. You're in a 4th and long, just coming off of a sack on the near sideline, and, busted coverage, or they get behind the defense, and John puts a good ball in there, they score, tie it up. We go into overtime, you're probably kicking yourself a little bit thinking you had the game won, but you got to reset. Talk about your team's just performance overall in overtime and how proud you were of them to stick in there and make enough plays to win the game.
The first thing is, I thought I knew the overtime rules, and then there's always little things. So they changed the overtime rules this year. So
because the Western got the ball first twice.
Right. So they gave us the choice. We won the toss. We had the choice, so we went on defense.
Yep.
After the first overtime, Western gets their choice.
Weird.
They chose offense first, and they were going to choose offense first just because the refs get this down so they don't screw it up. And then after, if it would have gone to a third overtime, then you're just in 2-point conversions.
It's just straight 2-point conversions.
Right. So we get a chance for a 2-point conversion. They get a chance for a 2-point conversion. And so that's why Penn State went to 9 overtimes. Because they had 5.
You went to 5.
5 consecutive overtimes where no one made a 2-point conversion. But anyway, about the overtimes, I was so thrilled, and we made a couple big plays. The ball bounced our way a couple times, but especially in the second overtime. So Nick Calzaretta had also gone out of the game. Hunter Gilbert, who had a big game, was out of the game. So the next 2 running backs, Caden Cobb and Alamar Alexander,
ran hard.
Were unbelievable. And they both made big plays. Caden Cobb cut it in. We thought a little bit too soon on a kind of a little sweep action, and he got it up in there, and he was juiced. The offensive line was juiced. So again, that was another critical play in the game. Then Alamar on our favorite counter play, so he gets in there, but then guys just stayed with it.
Carrying the pile for 4 more
Bo
yards.
Stevens came in there and cracked their safety, and everybody stayed on their feet and were moving, and so he turns a 5-yard run into like a 13-yard run down to the 1-yard line. And Alamar Alexander, state champion in wrestling, maybe 2 years. But from Columbia High School in Nampa, hasn't played a lot, great special teams player, our 3rd down back. So hats off to that guy. And then the O-line, who we'd lost a starter to there as well. So the depth there. And then we get into what we call our war package. So we do want the fans to get with us in the war package. So with the guys all love it, offense, defense, everybody. We send in big Cole Matson at a tight end, 6'8", 320-pound. 16-year-old freshman. So he comes in and caves it down, and we knew we were going to win the game. And I'm not sure there's a sweeter way to win a game than a walk-off. We're running it right down the chute, and that's a big deal for the team, for the offensive line, all those kind of things. Again, I'm a tall, skinny quarterback, but I believe with all my heart you have to have a physical run game to win big games.
And talk about, just speaking on that really quick, you just reminded me, looks like, against Southern Oregon, the first time you played them, the red zone, you guys were pretty dang good in that game, but mostly just running the ball in the red zone and converted, right? And you come into this game, kind of same situation. First couple times down there, it's Nick Calzaretta. You look at the overtimes and just running the ball very effectively in the red zone. So talk about it. That was an emphasis for you guys to get back to that in the red zone a little bit?
Well, we've been a little bit snake bit in the red zone, as we've talked about a couple times on the show. And so it's just awesome, really. We have to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to get 5 and 7 and 8 and 12 yards. We did throw one touchdown pass, which was great, and so we think at our best we can be balanced and keep people off balance. We have to be able to throw. We took a couple shots early in the red zone, which were good, and near misses, and it was just very, very satisfying to see the work pay off in the biggest of situations yet. And I don't think we were denied one time in the red. Well, we had a field goal blocked earlier in the game, but again, the guys believe in our running game, and again, we need to go outside, inside, and then be able to throw the ball too. So we like where we are. We liked our package. Again, I thought the coaches put together a great package.
And I think it's just better, though. I totally agree. And I just think it's better when you can. First of all, it's obvious when the field shrinks. It's tough to throw the ball, right? There's just not a lot of room.
Exactly.
DBs don't have much grass to guard. Pretty easy for them, or easier. But I think it's better when you can run it and get yourself in an easy scoring position, and then maybe dial up a pass, like the one to Gagan on the third down, little play action roll. It's kind of a dialed up play instead of trying to come in there and throw it on the first couple tries. And now you're in a situation where you have to throw, and you got to get 10 yards on that throw.
And you're right, Brock. That's a great point. The red zone is a point of emphasis for every football team in the world. I mean, it is hard, and. So again, we believe we got to be able to run and pass down there. So it's just a matter of picking our best stuff. And we thought about throwing a play action early in overtime, and we conferred and just said, hey, let's just do our best stuff. They haven't stopped it yet. Let's go. And there was a chance to throw a bubble, and I don't think we did throw it. We were able to hand it off and make some yards. But anyway, we are thrilled with that. And then, gosh darn it, hats off to the defense. I mean, they were frustrated. They aren't used to getting pushed around like that. Not that they got pushed around, but just a team to move the ball.
Gave up more yards and points than they typically did.
Absolutely. But they had some big stops in the second half. Had a big stop in overtime, and we don't win the game without every phase of the game. So that's what made it such a great game too. Again, not the defense isn't feeling great about what they did, but Dylan Martinez had 22 tackles, and Tayson Harden is a fantastic player, and
Cole Schmidt has a big game.
Schmidt, big game. Keegan McCoy's playing great, and so we're really, really doing some nice things. Tanner Leaf continues to play well, and
it took both sides to finish that game, to win that game.
Absolutely,
you're going to need a defense to make a stop, and offense got to go score.
That's just the way football is. It's just the way football is. You get in the biggest shootout ever, and there's going to be 10 key defensive plays in the game. So that no different in this game. So it was really, really satisfying and fun. And I think now we have a chance to look ahead, and play Southern, and we're getting close to being in the top for a conference championship.
Yes, sir.
So it's nice. You win big games, the games get bigger and bigger, and it's a lot of fun for the guys.
All right, Coach, moving on to this week, and again, congratulations to your staff and to everybody in the program for an incredible win at home, and obviously big to get a win at Simplot. But moving on to Southern Oregon, you got to put that one to bed, and got a lot in front of us here. Second time around playing them this year. I know we talked about it the first time we played them. They maybe had a couple guys out. I'm not sure if they've gotten a little healthier, but it looked like they're playing better football over the last 4 or 5 weeks than maybe they were right at the beginning of this season. So talk about what you've maybe seen from them on film that's maybe changed or a little different than the first time you got to watch them.
Southern is a dangerous football team. They've always been a tough matchup for us, and what has not changed is they are really tough on the defensive front. They have a couple players that are, I think, some of the best players in the league. So it'll be a real test for our ability to run the ball, especially inside. They're playing a lot of different guys in the back end, so we hope we may be able to do some things there. But they're a good football team. They're sound, and they do what they're supposed to do. they're fast, and they're really, really good. And offensively, their best receiver did not play against us the first time.
Okay.
And so he is really single-handedly beat Carroll College. They came from 21 points down or something like that. So it was quite an amazing win. And so they've had some good wins. They beat Eastern pretty good, but like everybody, there's injuries, so we don't even know who's in, who's out.
Yeah, right,
you know.
right.
But we do know that they are a difficult matchup for us. They do some really, really good things on offense. They're very well coached, and it's never an easy trip going over to Ashland. You know, though we look forward to the drive through the Christmas Valley and all that. But so it's time to be road warriors. It's time to get ready to go, because we have a lot to play for, and so we're excited about that. But it's tough playing people twice a year.
Talk about that. Talk about the there's the obvious challenges, people just knowing each other, but it's almost like you're getting 2 weeks prepared for them each because you're watching 2 weeks of film for these games and everything. So talk about the challenges of playing a team again.
I think the hardest thing is, especially if you've won the first time, it's psychologically it kind of sticks with you. Well, we beat these guys before, but it's 0-0 when we start the game. So again, it's appealing to the logic and the intelligence of our players, but even still, you have to overcome that. No, this is a much more important game.
Yeah.
The other one is in the past. This is so it's just, that's the first hurdle which we'll face in each of the next 3 games. But Southern, it's a little scary as a coach, on the road. Will we lose our edge a little bit? And it's late in the season, so there's injuries, so there's other factors that can take your focus away from what is most necessary. So I'm a little concerned, to be honest with you. I'm very concerned about Southern as a football program and team, and their speed and the matchup and their toughness up front. Really, their offensive front is good and tough too. So, and they have a new running back as well. So who didn't play against us, who's very, very good. So and then they got a couple corners that we haven't seen. So they have gotten a little bit healthier, we think, but again, don't really know. And then so when we're kind of a different team than we were when we played them the first time, so we'll have to see how the matchup goes. Yeah.
What do they do specifically, and maybe even from the X's and O's standpoint, that really stands out to me on both sides of the ball? They do very well.
Well, I think their defensive front is a great line stunting team. So they're tough and physical if they're playing straight ahead, but then they'll do what we call twists and line maneuvers that make it just get your offensive line out of whack. And then of course that translates to the pass protection game too. Coverage-wise, they're fairly straightforward, but they mix it up. They play man, they play zone, and so that's my defensive philosophy, is to make sure that you're trying to fool a quarterback like Ryan Hibbs. So if I'm playing against Ryan Hibbs, I don't want him to be
much different
comfortable.
Looks
Whereas he got comfortable against Montana Western, that's going to be their goal. They have a very experienced defensive coordinator who's coached Division I football for a lot of years, and so they're gonna find a way to make life difficult for Ryan Hibbs. And then offensively, they've morphed a little bit, and but they do some good stuff. They do a lot of the same stuff we do on offense, and they're very big up front, and they are and they always have that threat to throw the ball down the field, which has been their hallmark forever. So we're always nervous about that. The fans will remember the early days. They had big speed and throwing it up over the top.
I've told a lot of people that throughout the years, Southern Oregon obviously I disliked them certainly as an opponent, but I always had a lot of respect, and I really liked that philosophy and the mentality of their coaches, where it's like, pretty much, if we play 14 games this year, we're going to throw it deep 14 times on the first play. And you know it's coming, the whole stadium knows it's coming, and you saw it on film all week, and you've seen it every game we've played this year, and damn it, we're still going to do it, and we'll probably complete it. And I just think it says a lot about the mentality of the program, and we're going to be the aggressor today.
Yeah, and they haven't changed, and they will be that for sure on Saturday too. So those are the big things for me, that they're going to be willing to throw the ball deep against us. They can say, C of I has the best, the Yotes have the best secondary, but we're going to make them be the best today.
Absolutely. All right, Coach, in closing, the last thing I wanted to bring up is, the Yotes, we talked about it a little bit this week. There was 2 bye weeks this year, but hey, you guys moved to 9-0, in all time in bye weeks or post bye weeks. What do you think it's more, coaches getting a chance to develop a great game plan, or that 2 weeks to prepare, or is it players just getting fresh or healthy, or what would you attest that to?
Good question. We've come up with a plan for what we do, and during the bye week we do only practice 3 times. We do give the guys some time off, which they need at a great academic institution. You can talk great academic institution, but it wears on the guys. Yeah. It's hard. We got great professors, and they're demanding, and I'm all for it. I really am. So it just gives them a time to have a little bit of rest. This particular week we also had fall break, so the guys didn't have classes last week, so that doubled up on the getting fresh and batteries recharged, which we'll need for this last stretch run. So the things kind of fell into our favor there. But the other thing we do, Brock, is we try to get back to fundamentals.
Yeah.
So what do we do best? What do we need to do better at the most basic level? Blocking, tackling, footwork, catching the ball, watching the ball in, back shoulder throws, and just stuff that we need to refine at the most fundamental level. And I find that the players appreciate that. And they don't always. They want to run some double move route, versus, hey, how can I get better at my break point? How can I get better coming out of break? How can I get off press a little bit better? How can I be better blocking in space? DBs, how can I leverage better? How can I fit better? How can I fit just a split second sooner so I'm at the point of attack when I need to be at the most effective time? So again, that seems all basic, seems kind of boring sometimes, but again, for that to become a focus and for guys to see how that all fits in there and will help them, I think that helps us in the long run. So 8-0 is great, but I think we just have played better too. That it's showed up our fundamental work. Yeah,
and I always appreciate a good practice that had mostly individual, because when you're in the season and you're during the weeks, right, you don't have a lot of time for individuals, just because you got to put game plans in, you got to make sure we're on the same page there, and so it turns into, we all know how it is for receivers 7-on-7, where you're just running down, back, turns into a little bit of a conditioning practice, and it's always good to get a chance to go back and, like I said, just focus on your own fundamentals and say, okay, I feel like going into this Western week, I'm running better routes than I was a couple weeks ago.
And we try to have fun too. I mean, I believe that the game should be fun, and there's stress, and I get as stressed as anybody, and as you know, I don't yell and scream very much, but there are times, where I want the practice to be a certain way, but it's also nice to have fun playing football. So we do, in the bye weeks, we do Yotes versus Yotes, and so we're not doing the scout team thing, so we can play and have fun, and the guys can
absolutely
have some fun, talk trash a little bit.
It's kind of loose a little bit.
And so I do like. Some people might not like as loose as it is sometimes, but I think it's important.
It's good to refresh the mind with that,
Yeah, I think it's important for guys to have fun playing football. It's a game, very important game. But it's good. It's I believe in hard work, and have a great time while you're doing that too.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate your perspective there. So, all right, Yote fans, thanks for tuning in this week. As always, you can catch the Southern Oregon game on the stream. Go to the College of Idaho Athletics page, go to football and schedule, and they'll have the link on there under the Southern Oregon game. So please tune in and hopefully watch our Yotes come back with a victory from Ashland, Oregon. And we appreciate you guys tuning in every week. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks so much.
Yep.